Hi and welcome back. Well, it's been a fantastic afternoon. I'm really enjoying it. I hope everyone else is as well. I mentioned earlier, and for those of you who've just logged on as well, or who are watching this on catch-up, welcome. This is obviously our open programme conference. And the whole thing that's made this Student Hub Live different from other student hubs is that we've involved students in this. So we've seen students coming in with the OU Library earlier today, and we've got a number of student discussions. And what the brief was what's interesting to you as students right now? And this might be something at home, if you want to make a video about, you could do. So we said, what's interesting to you? And we all hooked up online, didn't we? And we were thinking about some of the things that matter to us as students and how maybe we could sort of start looking at things academically to make sense of the world that we're in. And I'm welcomed here by Andy Perrott and Cherry Day as well. And I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves in a second. And we started thinking about what matters. And Andy came up with this amazing idea about music and disabilities. And we were thinking, what's the link? What makes music so special to us? And so this presentation is one of the first student presentations of the event, and we're going to be talking about that. Now, one note, Brian unfortunately can't be with us today. He's had a problem with his car on the way down to Milton Keynes. So Brian, I know you're going to watch this on catch up, and I hope you're going to enjoy it as well. And we're sorry you're not here, but this has been the work of a lot of other people, including the disabled students group also, who've all fed into this. So thank you too for embodying the wealth of people who contributed. Cherry, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself first and tell people at home a little bit about you and why you're here today.
I'm here today to, as Karen said, feed in the wonderful response we had from disabled students about how music helps them in their studying. I'm the current chair of the Disabled Students Group, heavily involved with everything USA does for students, not just disabled students, throughout their studies. And I've been studying with the OU since 2008. And I should graduate in 2017.
Wow, gosh, getting very close to the end of that, Cherry, aren't you? And Andy, you're at the start of some of your studies, aren't you? Although you've obviously done a lot before. What's interesting about you is I was looking at some clips of the Student Hub Live last time, and I saw all these smiley faces and this name coming up as I was looking at the stills. And you've been really involved last time. So how did you get from there to here?
Well, basically, I had been offered some things with the emails about surveys and things like that, and surveys led into coming into the Student Hub, and emails. I got an email because I'd been a part of other things, and I said, yeah, I would love to be involved. And then when I spoke to you, and I said, well, I'd like to come down, but from Scotland it's a long journey, and you've helped get me down here, and here I am.
Fantastic. It's been such a journey, hasn't it? Because we all met online, didn't we? And we had these online workshops, which we invited students to after the Student Hub Live last time. And so we had these sessions and we all started talking about things and developing another community. And it's fantastic that you've come here today. So let's talk about music and disabilities. And I guess what's so interesting, like you're saying, is music matters to so many people. And what I was thinking is, you know, what is it about it that in particular, for those with disabilities, and I guess by this we're meaning either mental, physical, or any sort of idea that we would consider being a disability, not just those physical aspects. What is it about music that makes it so special?
It can do so many things for so many people. You've got and so many different disabilities, not just one in particular. It can be for physical side of things, you can have it for the mental side of things. There's even sensory impairment. There's learning. People have learned to count just through music alone. People have learned to communicate with other people just through music. You can be blind, you can be deaf, you can have any disability whatsoever, and there will be music there obviously that can help you somewhere along the way. And it's fascinating that there's that much, and yet we don't use it.
Yeah, because we started doing some searching, didn't we? I know we were doing these separately, and we were looking again at, well, I was looking at the OU Library. I don't know what you were looking at. Maybe, I think I'd suggested Google Scholar, didn't I? Anyway, we were having a look around, weren't we? And we were seeing what sort of resources were out there. And there was a lot of literature around this idea. And we were sort of thinking about some of it. And there are a lot of organisations as well. Can you tell us a bit about what some of the things were that you found?
Yeah, there's a lot of paperwork about it. There's not just theories or anything. There's been a lot of things done.
Yeah.
and there's been a lot of actual scientific tests, and yet they've not seemed to go further than that. I mean, there was one from Science Direct that had a paper with the impact of cognitive intervention. And just to quote, they said, researchers have concluded that music can be used to practice and discriminate between sounds, aid in the development of receptive and expressive speech. They can improve choice making, communicative information and knowledge, and develop an understanding of patterns of language. And that's been an official study on that one.
Absolutely.
And if I can just quickly say this paper, because this one's, excuse me while I get organised.
No, that's fine.
We'll
We'd
rip
never
things
remember
together.
all this without our trusty notes, would we?
This is a really interesting one. It was a paper from Voices, and it was about music used for Parkinson's dancing classes. And this really caught my eye in that. It's, music has the potential to motivate, support and improve exercise performance while reducing the perceptions of fatigue. The music used in exercise groups is rarely examined in detail, which it isn't, and there's growing evidence that people with Parkinson's disease can use the rhythmic elements in music to cue and sustain their movements. Now that's the power of music, just an example of one disability.
No, absolutely. And Cherry, you've been involved, you were talking about this research you've done with the Disabled Students Group. What were some of the things that people were saying there about how music can help them?
It was a huge spectrum of differences. Some people use music to relax. The classics came up over and over again to calm a stressful mood. Also, then there were the more powerful popular music to get you motivated. I know one of my favourites is Pharrell Williams, Happy. If I'm feeling a little bit blue, I put Pharrell Williams on, and that reminds me of conference and trying boogieing from a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So music can actually really lift you out of whatever mood, be you physically disabled, or if you're just feeling a bit sad. And also if you want a little bit of calm to study. And what surprised me was a lot of people said they can study with music in the background.
Wow.
Now, I'm one of those people that can't.
I can't
Can't.
either,
I can't
no.
concentrate. But a lot of people in our survey said they could.
Yeah.
Our survey said.
Let's go to the social media desk and see what's been happening on the chat and what people are saying about some of these things.
I mean, everybody just keeps talking, and for the first time today, we are in the red. It's all going off, and that's exactly what we want. We've got guys talking about how they use music. Some people use it to relax. Some people use it to energise. And we also have students talking about how they use music when they're studying as well. And we also have comments about music therapy being used to calm autistic children, about when they're overstimulated with external noise sources. And we've also got Tim, who says he works in SEN, that's special needs, special education needs and disability, and have seen some students make amazing progress through their love of music. I mean, that's just fantastic, isn't it?
I think what's interesting from the chat, though, is that we all find different music affects us in different ways. So we use it for different things. Some people study with it, other people don't. It is really interesting just to see how those
Or if you're like
differences-
HJ and he's dancing to Wham. In the morning.
Session over.
I guess the sort of thing that's coming through from all of what you're saying and also what's happening on the chat is that music seems to be something that can shift things. So whatever you are, if you're wanting to have this sort of shift, even if you're wanting to, be energised or calm down or whatever, there's something about music that is making that shift. And I guess for some people maybe, because we are talking specifically about disabilities here, and I get that, for a lot of people that may not be so relevant, and for them music is still creating these shifts and these patterns. But sometimes I guess when the challenges are a little bit harder in terms of making those shifts when you need to be more energised, and it may be harder to get energised, or it may be harder to get calm. There are some things specifically about music that can really sort of facilitate those different centres in the brain, maybe, that can allow people to tap into something different to be able to shift. And maybe I wonder if both of you could say something about, you know, why maybe in your experience or somebody else, you know, why those shifts really matter to you. Why sometimes, you know, it might be harder to get up, to get motivated, to calm down, that sort of thing. You know, do you have any?
It can be. I mean, I've not lived with a disability all my life, so I can't speak for those people. But I can speak for the people who have had a disability happen to them, and it just takes your whole world away. Yeah. And you really need something to try and get you back out, because you just crash to the floor. Yeah. You're absolutely devastated, and most of the time, depression comes along with that, especially in the early stages, and you're pumped with drugs, and you're given drugs for your pain, and you're given drugs for this. And to me, if there was some way of saying, let's have music therapy sessions, something that can lift you up and bring you to a level where you can function, you can do things, but without pumping you full of drugs. Yeah. That's what I would love to see.
Yeah.
Totally agree with Andy on that one. Someone who had this thrust upon me 10 years ago, I now do my neurophysio exercises at a bar, because I can hold on to a bar, with music on the background, and that gets me back to those dancing days when I could actually dance to music and express my feelings about music through dance. And I'm totally with Andy about the anti-drug thing. If there is a way of helping people through music therapy, let's go for it, because too many drugs are an easy option, if you will. I don't know whether that's being contentious, but they are. There are holistic ways of dealing with people like us, if you will.
Yeah, because I think we all know that, you know, there's so much pressure, I guess, on GPs and things to medicate as a first line of action, and that holistic therapies can be really difficult to measure the effectiveness of, to look at cost effectiveness and all these sort of things. But Andy, you were looking at some of these sorts of ways that people are actually doing some of this, weren't you?
They already are.
What sort of things are being done, and how can maybe, because I think you had some great resources as well about how people can tap into some of those.
Yes, I do have. I'm sure you'll have a lot of the links on the end for the people, but there was one place I was dealing with, Nordorf Robbins. They were really good, and they do a lot of music therapy sessions. They use music to aid pain and discomfort for many disabilities, and they're a national music therapy charity, but nobody's ever heard of them. Nobody puts you onto them, and they do lots of music therapy for some of the things we're talking about: physical, mental, sensory. So they've not just got one thing. There's a lot of them out there, and the British Association for Music Therapy, BAMT, they are really, really good. There's a good source of information out there for that, and they support involvement from the general public as well, so that's a good one.
What sort of things were they doing then, as a sort of, I guess, a more sort of British, you know, board of something? What were they saying?
Well, they're a source of information for music therapy. So if you were, like we're talking just now, and you say, I want to go and find out more about music therapy, get on, that's probably your first port of call, get on to the British Association for Music Therapy and see what they've got to say, maybe interact with them. They said that they've got involvement for the general public, so there must be a way of contacting them, getting the information you need, and from there they
they'll farm you out to things in the local areas. And was there quite a lot then when you were looking? You've mentioned a lot of things.
There is.
In terms of, I guess, going back to the library and searching and things for like that for information and things, there was quite a lot there. It was quite accessible to find, was it?
They are fairly accessible to find. Yes, one of the main good ones to have a look at is Disabled World. They've got a lot of information, and there's a whole page on there called Music Therapy for People with Disabilities. So it's worth going in, worth having a search, and search for music and disabilities. Have a look at that. There will be a lot of the papers, some of the ones that I've said today, there'll be a lot of that in it, but there's a lot of good things for sites and things that people can go on and check further.
Fantastic. You've mentioned this idea, which I'm quite interested in, of therapies, and also you're sort of saying how you're using music, I guess, just yourselves in terms of what's working for you. And there's that difference there, isn't it, about something being a therapy, something being applied to you or done to you, or something organised, and something you can do at home to manage your own moods, to manage yourself and to get things sorted. And I wonder maybe if both of you want to say a little bit about that, about the difference maybe between what people can do at home and how you can actually take ownership and enable yourself with certain things, and really maybe where that difference lies in terms of when therapies as an idea might be a more useful construct for people to consider.
I think it's really a communication between you and your GP to say that you want to have alternatives to help your, certainly in my case, physical disability. So, and just make your GP aware that you know about these sites that Andy has mentioned, and say, well, can I try this? Can you give me some maybe exercise I can do at home to music? If you, again, physical disability. I spoke to my own physio and told him that I'd like to have exercise that fit a certain piece of music I like, and he said, right, do this, do that, and lift your leg, and he was totally on side about it.
Yeah.
So I think a communication with your GP and therapist and whoever does help.
I'll be brief because I know you need to go to... I'll basically just say that this is a free and easy resource for you to do at home. You know what your kid likes, use it with them. Don't just because you don't like Pink playing and they like Pink and it calms them down. Play Pink, you know. Play Aha, play Harley Jack's favourite ones, you know, Wham and all that. Play them if you have to.
Right, speaking of the devil,
Yep.
what's going on down there, you two?
Well, it looks like the library are going to be organising a rave in the library, so I think we'll all be invited. We'll all be invited to that.
Is that because we're talking about searching still? Are they still all there? Yep.
And we've also got the discussion of autism has continued, and not just in using music to sort of play, but to actually physically play music as an instrument. So, do you guys have any ideas about how people can utilise actually physically playing an instrument to help?
Well, yeah, I mean, encourage your child if they show any interest, even if it's plonking away in a piano. But this is one of the things I would like to see, not just the music therapies, but actually not just listening, getting people involved, learning, teaching them how to play music. Get this into communities. Get it communities countrywide. You know, and have a mix, disability, non-disability, so everybody can mingle. And you can all learn to play an instrument together. That would be.
You're studying music, aren't you?
Yes.
Which is very interesting, but you're not playing anymore, are you?
No, I used to play, but I can't play now.
And so I'm wondering, because I'm just learning the cello at the moment, and there's something I find so calming and sort of tranquil about doing my scales and just listening to things, and it's very, very therapeutic. And I guess in terms of the autism and things like that, sometimes there can be that sense that music can be a discipline, it can be a focus to sort of get you off something, but it is inevitably relatively physical, depending on what instrument you're looking at. So, you know, I think that's such an interesting angle. What I'm wondering now is for you, Andy, sort of going from being able to play music to now studying music, how's that? And you're doing that with the OU as well, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Which is why you're here and I guess involved with all of this. So tell us then, how's that sort of shift going from playing to studying?
Not easy because I still miss my playing, but I've moved into the studying side and I got some software to start putting in my own stuff. So I'm writing my own songs now, but that I wasn't able to do that until I started studying with OU, was to actually write my own songs. So I'm because I've learned all the music theory and what goes with what, I'm actually learning now on my own to write songs.
So what's this module you're doing, and so you're learning about?
Yes, I've been doing various modules. I've just last year I graduated from my diploma in music, so now I'm going on to hopefully do my degree in it. And it's just there's modules that teach you from just making an instrument to how a sound's made through it, right through into music notation, and then right up to the level 3, but going right into the theory and the history of music, and it's absolutely fascinating.
Wow. that's fantastic. What about you, Sherry? Are you playing anything, or how are you engaging with
I used
music?
to be heavily involved with music. I was quite a good mezzo-soprano in the years gone by. Did a lot of musical light opera and pantomimes and things like that. I can read music. I can basically play the piano. I'm not the brilliant bass guitarist my brother is, and unfortunately my voice has gone now because my muscles have gone in my throat. But that's getting children involved with music. Unfortunately, education budget cuts have cut music departments, and I don't want to be political, but the joy of my youth was having a piano available, rehearsal rooms available, music always being part of the school, which they're not now. And that is a real, real shame, because children are not being introduced to, what was that funny little
The recorder.
recorder.
Yes,
Did we
yes,
all
yes,
learn the
well.
recorder? So I played the recorder, the violin, the viola, even played the timpanis at one point in a concert. But children don't have the exposure now to music, be they disabled or not. We all see the benefits of it on TV with children with sensory deprivation, or autistic children, or children with learning difficulties, having the time of their lives in a soft room with musical instruments. Just banging a stick on a drum is a wonderful thing for a kid, with whether he's blind or deaf or have learning difficulties. Music has to be a part of every child's life. That's me getting passionate now.
No, that's fine.
I'm grown up.
Passionate away.
An oldie.
No, it's true though. I mean, quite a lot of your top musicians today started in school with playing an instrument and then got the love of it and took it home. But without that, the fact that we don't have it nowadays is no reason that kids shouldn't get involved. It's up to parents to encourage them, get them involved. Even, as Cherry said, just a wee drum to bang on. I know it makes a noise.
Or
but
recorder.
Yeah, or a recorder. They're cheap and easy to buy. It is absolutely fantastic to get them in early. And I think maybe even getting them in at an early age could be something that could also cut down slightly in maybe years to come of depression and stuff like that. You never know.
Yeah, excellent. No, good advice. Right, let's just go to the social media desk before we're nearly out of time.
Yeah, well, we're having fantastic conversation. Some people can only play the triangle, unfortunately, but I'm sure if they put their minds to it, they can do a bit better than that. There is a lot of agreement with what you're saying. Stephanie says that music therapy sessions are a good idea as an alternative, because we always go down certain routes, as you were discussing, and it's one that we should probably think about a lot more. Yeah, just a lot of general agreement. We've got a great question that I'm finding, especially for Andy as a student of music, asking, does studying music help it make better sense? Do you get a better sense of music? Are you able to pull it apart?
Yes, basically. My studies, and I'm not just saying to boost the Open University, to be honest, my studies with the Open University have opened my eyes to a world that I didn't know before, even to the fact of the difference between hearing music and listening to music. So that was one of the first things it taught me. And once you really listen to music, then it gets really inside you, and then you start learning about the composers and even learning how an instrument's made. You think, I wouldn't have thought of that before, and how it's made specifically that way to make that tune. You know, and it really is, yes, it's made a vast difference studying the music to my understanding of it.
Brilliant, excellent. Well, that's all we've got time for today. I'd just like to ask you one final thing, because you've been so incredibly brave coming up here and doing this talk and working so hard with so many other people, you know, on Facebook with the Disabled Students Group and with all the other people we've met on the Activate sessions and things like that. How's it been being up here and presenting it? Because I know you've both engaged with these events online, and Cherry, you've come up before as well. But how's this been today for you?
seeing the response has just made it all worthwhile. It's been fantastic. I didn't know what I was, or how I was going to present myself, or how it was going to appear, or whether anybody would switch off or not. But the response has really made it worthwhile. It's been fantastic, and I'll do it all over again.
And you will.
You will, yeah.
All right.
Sherry, what about you?
I've sent to Andy, it's Your Baby, Be Proud, because this is a lovely, relaxed experience, and it's a wonderful way to get in touch with everybody out there. Because I know we all chat on Facebook and on the VLA forums, but this way we've got the intercommunication between us all, so it's a super idea, it's wonderful.
Brilliant,
Great.
excellent. Well, like I said, we'll be seeing both of you later because, Sherry, you're going to come to our show and tell session tonight, and you're going to show us some of the assistive devices that you use, which I'm really interested in seeing, so that'll be fantastic. And then, Andy, you're going to be coming along tomorrow to some sessions as well, aren't you?
Yes.
So we'll be seeing more of both of you, but thank you so much for getting involved. It's been really, really brilliant. It takes a lot of nerves coming up here and doing this, and I think you've both done an amazing job, so thank you very much. And it wouldn't be possible without the library search for all this research,
No,
would it?
definitely not, definitely not.
I will look forward to the rave when we receive the invitation from the library, which I assume we'll get an invite to. I'm going for Don't Stop Me Now by Queen, I think.
Oh, yes.
But I'd better stop because next up we've got a session on the importance, the advantages and disadvantages of doing an open, multi-subject degree. So we've got some guests here from the higher education world, and Peter's going to be chairing that next session. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. We'll see you in about 5 minutes after we played this next video, and then that'll be the last session of this slot this afternoon. See you in a minute.